What if there's no gold sitting in Fort Knox right now? I'm sure many of you have already read articles, watched videos, and read tweets on X about what's going on with Doge and auditing of Fort Knox. And this all started a few days ago, just in case you've been living under a rock and haven't seen it yet. It all starts with this tweet right here from Zero Hedge, who tagged Elon Musk and said it would be great if Elon Musk would take a look inside Fort Knox just to make sure the 4,580 tons of US gold is there. Last time anyone looked was 50 years ago in 1974, to which Elon replied, surely it's reviewed at least every year. Zero Hedge then said, it should be. It isn't. And of course, in typical Elon fashion, we get this meme tweet, and it's gone, looking for the gold in Fort Knox. And then of course says, this gold is the property of the American people. I sure hope it's still there. So obviously, I've been following this story for a few days now, and before I made a video about it, I wanted to make sure that I was able to give myself the time to research and learn everything I needed to know about the previous audits on Fort Knox. And I'm going to share with you some information from the previous audits, including the one in 1974 that everyone keeps referring to, but I'm also going to talk about what would happen if that gold wasn't there. Or even worse, what if the gold was there, but some of it was fake? Will they even be able to test that? Is there a way to verify it? You know, can Elon do that with a walkthrough? Will he do it live? Well, let's talk about all of that in today's video. But really quick, do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe and help us continue to grow. My channel is sponsored by sdbullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to sdbullion.com/new. So one thing I learned in my research is that the last full audit of Fort Knox wasn't even in 1974. You see, the audit that everyone refers to for 1974 was actually just a small partial audit where they allowed some Treasury officials and some journalists to come in and inspect a small portion of the gold. They didn't even see the entire site, and it wasn't a full audit. According to this article on investingnews.com, it actually says that the last known full audit of Fort Knox's gold reserves occurred in 1953, not 1974. And then it goes on to tell you what I just did about the 1974 partial audit with the journalists and officials, and then goes on to then say that since then, the facility has maintained strict no visitor policies with limited oversights of its holdings. Now, if we scroll down a little bit here, it says, while the U.S. Department of Treasury maintains that the gold remains intact, the absence of recent independent audits has led to speculation. The issue gained renewed attention after Australia discovered counterfeit gold in the Bank of England's reserves. Yes, you heard that right, counterfeit gold in the reserves of the Bank of England, raising concerns about the authenticity of stored bullion worldwide. Now, we can talk about the possibility of there being fake gold in a second, but I wanted to first share with you this little tidbit that I found online that supports what we just read. And I'll start with the top of it, which kind of says what I said about 1953, but it says it was shortly after President Eisenhower took office. It goes on to say, however, this audit was not comprehensive by modern standards. It only checked a small percentage of the gold and wasn't conducted by independent third parties. Then it goes on to say that the U.S. Treasury and Mint have claimed that gold audits have been conducted in stages over time, with the last major verification reportedly completed in 2011. However, no full, independent, publicly transparent audit of Fort Knox's gold reserves has ever been conducted in modern times. Now, keep in mind, everything I'm sharing with you is just stuff that I've learned by doing my own research online over the last couple of days since this whole story broke. But just looking at what we've seen so far, with the fact that there's not even been a full audit in modern times, is mind-blowing. Even the one in 1953, according to that last article, was not full and comprehensive compared to what we would see today. So yes, I believe 100% that Fort Knox needs to be audited. But what about that fake gold in England? Well, take a look at this. This tweet on X comes from Senator Gerard Rennick, and he says, and by the way, if you don't recognize his name, that's because he's a senator out of Queensland, Australia. He says the Bank of England should also be audited. They've been caught holding fake gold bars with duplicate serial numbers in the past. If one central bank is holding dodgy gold, how many others are? Very good question. And he also shared this right here. The sad thing is that the RBA, knowing this, still refuses to take Australia's gold out of the Bank of England vaults and bring it home. And then he shares this down here. It looks like a strictly confidential letter from the Reserve Bank of Australia. And, you know, there's a lot here. We're not going to read it all, but they did highlight the important part right here. It says the existence of fake gold bars has been detected in the past by the presence of duplicate refiner serial numbers. Now, what he said in this tweet is very concerning if you think about it. He said that if there are fake gold bars in the Bank of England's vaults, how many other world reserves out there? How many other gold reserves? Does Fort Knox have fake gold bars as well? That is something that's very concerning to think about. And to be 100% honest with you, I don't even know what the logistics would be to be able to test all the gold bars in Fort Knox, assuming that they're there in the first place. Maybe there's only a couple and it'd be very easy. But let's move on from that and take a look at this tweet here by Elon. He said it would be cool to do a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox. He of course posted this a couple of days ago, and that would be very interesting. You know, there was a couple of replies to this though. I was kind of reading, I wanted to show you. I was scroll down just like 3. And this one from Space Volva from the future says, seems kind of private though. Does the public need to know everything? Yes, we do need to know if that gold is there. You see, that gold is owned by the US Department of the Treasury, which is a portion of the federal government. The federal government is funded by who? By us, by federal taxpayers. And those taxpayers absolutely should know where the gold that we are being told is there, where the strategic reserve of gold that the government claims that we 100% have a right to know if it's there. So yes, absolutely, we should know. But I will admit that knowing may not necessarily be the best thing, assuming that knowing means that we know that the gold's not there. So while I do admit, and I will not change my opinion, I think 100% that the audit should happen and that the American taxpayers deserve to know if that gold is actually sitting there. If it's not actually there, if we do the audit and that gold is not where it's supposed to be, if that gold's not there, or even if half of it's gone, I think that's not going to be very good for the US economy, for the American people, and here's why. So even though our gold has not backed our dollar for many, many decades, that gold and the fact that the government has such a large amount of gold in its reserves instills confidence in the US economy, and believe it or not, a little bit even in the US dollar. Now, of course, the US dollar has been in a downward death spiral for decades as a result of going off of the gold standard, and going off of the gold standard has created an affordability crisis like none we've ever seen. It still is there and instilling a little bit of confidence in the US economy. If we find out that that gold's not there, I think that the confidence that is currently in the dollar is going to plummet even further. It may actually cause our dollar to collapse. Now, I'm not a fear-mongering channel, and I'm not here to fear-monger you into that, but I really do think that it's going to be a major, major blow to the US economy if that gold is not there. Alternatively, there will be people absolutely looking at alternative assets to get their dollars into something else. So I think the value of gold and even silver will rise, and a lot. I think that even cryptocurrency will be looked at as a way to get the heck out of the US dollar. So I think you'll see a massive influx into things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the bigger cryptocurrencies. I think those will see a massive swing upward as well. Basically, you're going to see people not having any confidence in the dollar. And while the people that have gold and silver are going to be protected at least somewhat, it's not going to be good for the overall US economy. It's not going to be good for our trade deals with other countries. It's not going to be good for what our dollar is able to buy. I mean, if that gold's not there, I could 100% see the value of the dollar having, or even more, overnight. Everything that's already so expensive is going to be even more expensive because, as I've already said, even though our dollar is not backed by that gold and the fact that the US is supposed to have it still instills confidence in our economy and our dollar and in everything that we do here in the US. So it would also bring in the question, what about the other gold reserves in the US? What about the gold reserves in New York? Are they what they're supposed to be? Is everything there that's supposed to be there still there? Is it all there? I mean, sure, some of it's there. Is it all there though? Is all of it real? I mean, we can look back at the tweet from the Australian senator who said that they found fake gold bars in the England Reserve Bank. Is that happening here? There's a lot of things to think about and consider, and I don't think all of this is going to be answered anytime soon. I will say, though, that if they did it live, I will 100% be watching, following, covering, may even do a live reaction to the live stream from Elon if he literally live streams going into the Fort Knox vault. I would love to see what's happening. I would also tell people to keep an eye on Fort Knox and see if there's any heavy Brinks trucks coming in and out of that facility over the next few weeks. I don't know, guys. That's just my thoughts on the topic. I would love to know what you think, though. So do me a favor, leave a comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future updates about this and other topics on gold and silver. And other than that, do yourselves a favor and have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.